Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Lucid. We are playing Early Age Yomi in Ring World. To catch you up from last episode, it's turn 20 by the way, but to catch you up from last episode, Lanka suffered a pretty epic defeat, losing almost the entire game's worth of cap-only sacreds to this monster of a pretender god from Moria. And we knew he was coming out. We knew we knew a lot about the Pretender God, but we hadn't seen him yet. We didn't know how he was equipped. We didn't know what the research was, and now we know a lot more. And at the end, I was thinking maybe there's a bug with Repel, and essentially I went and published, or not published. I was asking around on Discord, and then I put a little video up for people to look at, and I got a lot of people who probably know more about the game than me to look at it. And at first the consensus was it was a bug, but upon further reflection, it appears that certain things just are not getting displayed in the combat log. So anyway, all of that being very confused at the end of last episode, it turns out it's not a bug. It's just a very strong mechanic. So the bad news is it's not like this god's all of a sudden going to get weak after a patch. The good news is, this is a new mechanic that I didn't really understand how it works, and it could potentially be very, very useful for Dai Oni, which are very vulnerable to Holy Scourge. So we'll have to figure out how we do it, but I've got some ideas. But in the short run, that's not really our concern. Our concern really is how do we deal with this Pretender God? And right now we're kind of going to have to do an evacuation of a lot of his lands, but we'll see. Okay, so a message from Abyssia. Fact, Micklin's frogs were once straight until the Elvish influence. Okay, I'll let you finish reading that. And then this province has been relinquished back to me, so I finally have it back. I have my fort, and that means I can recruit Oni Shugo in one whole turn. So they are not slow to recruit, and they're a very good mage, especially if we can replace this crappy armor. Ideally, we get mirror armor and put it on these guys, and then they become just monsters. Yeah. That's probably the armor we want to put on. It's going to give them magic resistance, and it's going to give them reinvigoration, and fortunately Lanka can forge it, as well as decent protection, not great. But especially like the earth randoms, we put that on them, they're going to be just ridiculous. Ridiculous, I tell you. But all of them will be pretty good. Okay, what next? We've got... okay, let's watch some of the battles here. So this is the Pretender God. I think... Okay, he doesn't have blood slaves, but... I'll explain real quick why this is broken. On one hand, I kind of didn't want to share this with the general public. Because, you figure something out, you kind of want to keep it a secret. And it's kind of a thing. When I play a nation, I kind of have to say goodbye to it. Because once I share all of my little strats for a nation, then whoever I'm playing against is going to know exactly what's going to come and when. And some have argued with me, some friends I play with, and they say, well, all of this is basically common knowledge anyway, da-da-da-da-da. Well, even if general strats are common knowledge, and which units are good, which ones aren't, what are some gimmicks you can do with the nation, which ones aren't, nobody ever knows which gimmicks you personally like, or how you think about your Pretender God. There's a bunch of things that other people don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, when I put a nation up, I tend to not play them again, ever in multiplayer. Which is sad. Sometimes I play them in blitzes or something like that. But anyway, so we'll talk real quick about this guy. And I think this is a different type of super combatant than I've ever seen before. And on one hand, it doesn't look very different. But I think it's very, very different. It is not uncounterable, but it is very difficult to counter. And very soon it's going to be casting Elemental Fortitude, I'm quite sure. But right now it had been doing Summon Hell Power, then Reinvigoration, and then Personal Regeneration. And Hell Power is going to give it +5 attack and defense. And that's going to be very, very important, because especially after Blood Surge triggers, it's going to have, 3 strength and a 3 attack bonus. So yeah, it's going to be, high 20s for its attack with Hell Power on it. And what that means is the way repelling works is, let's say you come in and you attack him, you have to do a repel check against each weapon he has, which is longer than yours. So who do we have here? Probably got little crappy dudes. Yeah, they have a Linked 1 club. So they're all going to have to do a repel check against this guy. This might actually be just an extended episode on this new type of super combatant we've discovered. Okay, so now what I thought was a bug, because it's just showing the repel, and normally if you have a successful repel, which here you can see the attack value, which is 26, it's like the attack value plus a dice roll, is higher than the defense value, and in this case it's the defense of the Dai Oni plus a defense roll. Plus a dice roll. If this is successful, it does not mean the attack is blocked. It means this guy has repelled, but you can then essentially, you're imagining like this guy has now used his sword defensively, but if you pass a morale check, you will then push through and attack him. And there's very weird mechanics about how this check works. They're not weird, but not obvious. And as long as they're not important, it doesn't really matter. But when you have really big numbers here with super combatants, it actually can matter a lot. So we'll talk about it real quick. You see this attack, which is essentially based on the attack score of the weapon and the attack score of the individual. If you win by a lot, then half of this difference that you win by is going to be added to the morale check that these guys have to pass. So the other thing that's going to impact the morale check these guys have to pass is the relative size between these two creatures. I do not know if it takes into account the specific length difference between the two weapons at this point. But for the morale check part, it definitely takes into account the size difference between the two individuals. So if you just absolutely crush them, you have a much higher attack than they have defense, because it's a check against this guy's defense, then you're very likely going to also pass the morale check, which comes afterwards. In addition, for this Ko-Oni to hit, it not only has to successfully pass the Frostbrand, but it also has to successfully pass the Stoneburn. And if either one of those attacks block it, then it's not going to make it. So to design something to kill this guy, you have to get through the repel check of the Frostbrand and then of the Stonebird. And then you have to get through the Vine Shield. And then once you're through the Vine Shield, if you're close on the Vine Shield, and because this guy's got really high defense, if you're just barely past the attack defense check, which is kind of likely, then the Vine Shield protection gets added to your protection score. So I think that's how the parry works. I'm not 100% sure, but if you're within 5 of his defense roll, then, which is the parry score, then you're basically going to have the Vine Shield protection added to your protection, which is a fair amount, 13. So you're going to have a very, very high protection roll. Okay, let's say you pass the Vine Shield, then you go against his defense. Right? If you go against his defense and you make it, then you have to go against his protection. And if you go against his there's a very good chance you're not going to make it past this defense. There's a very good chance you won't make it past each of these wickets, right? But then after you make it against his defense, then you have to go through his protection. And his protection, if you didn't make it through his defense super well, you're probably not going to get through his protection, because you're also going to be having the Vine Shield protection added to it. This is actually one of the hardest super combatants I've had to figure out how to go against. And I think I have a plan, but it's pretty tricky. We're not going to talk about how to counter it this episode. We'll probably do it maybe in the next one. But anyway, yeah, and then he's got a dancing shield just for shits and giggles. And he's got regeneration, so if I ever do hit him, he's gonna be kind of rebounding for the 1 in 100 times when I actually hit him. And so he got attacked there for a while, but you can see he barely got harassed. And a lot of that is due to the Vine Shield, and that turns out to be a kind of important ingredient in getting this whole thing to work. Because if you get surrounded too much, then this repel check, and I'm not sure whether it's the attack part or the morale part, but either way, because the attack part plays into the morale part, it's definitely going to kind of trickle through. But if this guy gets surrounded, or if he gets surrounded and has to make too many repel checks, this ends up kind of dropping, right? So I think how it will end up playing is if this guy gets surrounded, the repels will repel a lot, but then it gets down to some threshold where a certain number are making it through. The Vine Shield will then start entangling more people. The more people that are entangled, the fewer repel checks there are. And so it kind of reaches some neutral plateau where you're repelling a ton of stuff, the Vine Shield is blocking a fair amount of stuff. The remainder will go on to do an attack defense check on this, so your defense score will get harassed down a little bit, but not very much. That's going to make it so your shield is almost always blocking, and nothing's going to go through your protection. I'm pretty sure that's how this works. It's extremely strong. It's very difficult to counter this guy with another SC or Thug. You can do it with magic, but we don't have any magic, boys. We're just building super combatants here. But, because I'm an industrious little fooker, we are going to counter it. And it took me a long time to figure out how to do it. We're going to talk about that next episode. But, let's talk about what we're going to do here. Okay, wait, that was this guy, so he just killed some PD. Let's see where he moved to. Okay, so he moved to here. He was over here, he moved to here, so he's being very conservative. Lanka also attacks here. Okay, which turns out to be Moria's god. Whoops. Now, if I were Lanka, well, I don't know. He definitely should have scripted 2 of these guys to retreat, because they're not going to do anything. I don't know. They could potentially die if they retreat. But yeah, this guy, he's not going to get hit one time. Not once. I mean, you can guarantee it. He doesn't even need regeneration. But, you know, I guess there's like the 1 in 100 chance we get the, you know, the dice roll from hell. And not only does it hit him, but then it goes through his affliction resistance. Or, you know, if he didn't have regeneration, he wouldn't have affliction resistance. And there's a chance that we cause him to be, you know, feeble-minded or something. Which would be awesome. Speaking of which... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, speaking of which, we could shoot him with the bow of Beowulf, but he has too much protection. I don't think he's vulnerable to that. If I had some guy super kitted up with strength items, because you get 1/3 of your strength, it's possible we could get a bow of Beowulf to go through. Like, Dai Oni have a lot of strength. Maybe a Dai Oni with a bow of Beowulf could feeble-mind him, and that would be hilarious. So one thing that's interesting is you just see we cast Immolation, yeah. I had him script to fire, and normally what happens when you script them to fire as your final attack is they're going to use all their ammunition on their weapons, and then they're going to charge in and smack things. But I think, and it could be because we have this mace equipped. Well, let's watch this battle again, actually. Because I think it's just a one-handed weapon, isn't it? Yeah. Why don't I have my... Normally, I will have my other things, like my ranged attacks. I guess I don't. So, could be because of that, I'm not sure. But, my guy is primarily going to attack in combat. You can see he's hitting people, but then he occasionally decides to cast spells. Which, Immolation is a great spell. I do not mind him doing that at all. Yeah, get out of here, guys. I mean, this is awesome. This is kind of how you wished combat magic worked, where they don't cast it so much that they get fatigued up and die, but this guy is just hanging out. You know, he's mostly attacking, his fatigue's coming down. You know, it's 36, it's getting a little lower, and then he's like, okay, yeah, we'll go back up to 45. That would be awesome if the combat AI worked like this all the time. I mean, this is the shit. You would then have, I think, a lot more of these combat caster super combatants, which are really cool, because a lot of the cool, like the close combat spells are super cool, but people just never use it because your guy goes into combat and gets fatigued out and then dies. Okay, maybe he's basic. No, see, look, he's okay. See. Yeah, he basically was casting if he's below a certain fatigue level, and then if not, he runs in. It's kind of all you would want from like a wade into combat casting. Anyway, we take this. And importantly, this is the Silver Throne, which is a great throne. It is one of the best thrones. It gives you not only 100 gold, which is pretty awesome, especially for gold-hungry or gold-starved nations like us. But I wonder if I get... Do I get income bonuses in mountains? Wait, where am I? I'm so blind. Oogity boogity. Okay. Extra golden resources in cave forts. Okay, but not mountain forts. It does not appear. That's fine. So, okay, but let's talk about the Adept of the Silver Order. This is the real thing. I mean, not only is Spread 2 Dominion and 100 gold nice, but this guy, he's breaking us into Astral, which, by the way, we have huge Astral paths on our god, but we have no Astral mages to site search. So this is huge. Just having any Astral Mage, this is our only one. It's a big deal. Next, he gets an Earth random crosspath. Do you know what that means? It means Crystal Gear. That's right, Crystal Gear. Something we don't have. Eventually we are going to empower Earth on his Disciple. But until then, which it's going to be a way off, we have no way to do any of the Earth Astral stuff. But I can forge boots of Earth pretty soon. I have to get construction for. But once I have that, then we're going to be, you know, this guy will be Earth 2, Astral 2. And from there he can forge crystal coins, which is something we normally wouldn't have access to, so that's huge. I mean, that's a big deal. Okay, what else? We have the fire randoms potentially can cast, which is going to be good for both of us, depending who we're fighting. A solar eclipse. They'd have to do Power of the Spheres, summon Phoenix Power, and then Solar Eclipse, but we can do it. So that's what we can use the fire randoms for. For Lanka, this is going to be his only fire access. We're probably going to switch who owns this throne back and forth a lot. The air randoms are getting you up pretty high into air. That will be really nice for me. Because otherwise I'm not going to have that high air. The Earth randoms for me will be able to not only give me the Air Astral Crosspath, but the Air Earth Crosspath, which allow me to summon Dai Tengu, which is one of my summons which I'm not really set up to do. The thing is, I'm going to probably do it anyway with my own stuff, because I'm going to empower one of these guys in air, which is what you can do with Yomi, even if you do not have this kind of awesome luck. But yeah, when you empower one of these guys in air, it unlocks Cloud Trapeze, which is independently valuable. You just need to make sure that you put an MR gear on them so they cannot be assassinated with Mind Hunt very easily, especially once that spell is out. But yeah, once you do that, and you also may want to twice spawn the Dai Oni that you empower, because he's going to be your ticket to summoning Dai Tengu. So yeah, I'll probably do that anyway, just because having one Dai Oni who can Cloud Trapeze around is terrifying. But if I didn't, I would be able to do it now with this adapt to the Silver Order. Now, we need to get a fort in Temple up. Okay, the other thing, I mean, Astral, for the Astral randoms, we get Astral 3, which is a pretty high-level Astral Mage, which, just with Crystal Gear, which we'll be able to forge from other variants of this Mage, and a Starshine Skullcap, we'll be able to get up to Astral 5. And then if you throw on a Ring of Sorcery, which we can forge, this guy will get up to Astral 6 for, I don't know, like you can cast some globals with that. Now, I mean, his Pretender God is who we would use to cast those, but anyway, just for your game, super valuable. And then we don't really... Lanka can do communions, so this guy can jump into communions and cast things. Particularly earth things he can do in communions. Air, Lanka's already going to have in communions. For me, having high air magic, especially on this chassis that can do Power of the Spheres and then other things, I'm going to be going up Alteration, so this is going to give me access to Fog Warriors in all my important fights. So that's kind of huge. And then my guys also don't have great protection, and I'm fighting Zabalba, a bunch of flyers. If I put up Storm, which I probably want to do with that guy, but I do need to make a path down Evocation, but Storm is not that high. Once we get our research economy going, which it's not going now, but once we get it going, I can get Storm with pretty minimal effort. And then having Storm up and then doing Storm Power, we're going to be in the money with this guy. I mean, yeah. I mean, let's just look at it real quick. If I take an air random... let's not take an air random. Let's say I only have air 2. We do Power of the Spheres. That gets us up to air 3. With air 3, we can cast this with 2 gems. It will fatigue us out, though, at that point. So we cast this with 2 gems, and then we do... summon air power, or storm power. That will put us up at air 4. After 4 or 5 turns, we'll wake up and we can drop Fog Warriors. I don't think we can do Fog Warriors easily with the air 2 variety. I mean, we can, but we would probably need 2 of these guys. One of these guys would just do summon air power and wait for storm, or storm power and wait for storm to come up. The second one would have to cast it. But anyway, it gives me really good access to Storm Power, or to Fog Warriors, which I wouldn't have. And then I do want Storm up, because it's going to get rid of a lot of arrows. It's going to shut down Zabalban flying. Yeah. And then, especially if I can get Fog Warriors up, I don't care about any of the Zabalban stuff, like Skelespam, I don't care about any of that. We'll just eat Zabalba. Agartha too, for that matter. I mean, there's not much he can do. Yeah. I mean, Earthquake spam versus my Dai Oni, versus my Ko-Oni, I don't even really care. All our neighbors are going to be in trouble. So anyway, that is... And I'm not sure who I'm going to attack. I'm just saying they would potentially be in trouble if we fought. So that's kind of huge for us. Now... Lanka also expands here, and there's just some ghouls here. His Palanchas should not have any problems. He's got some banishment coming out. One guy is headed back here, but okay. That's why you put a bodyguard on him, because they might have killed him and he might have lost that fight without that bodyguard. Okay, so cannot complain there. Kills a bunch of dudes. We have an event down here. One of our guys got assassinated. Also, if you'll notice, I have started naming my Dai Oni after some of you in the channel. It's not something I do super regularly, but this is the key. The wolves are probably going to do okay versus that ghost. Yeah. So anyway, I will be doing that to some people, and I'm just doing it from the comments. I'm not really doing it with any sophistication or asking you to pay for it. Okay, or even request it. I'm just looking in the comments, and if you're posting, then occasionally I will put your name in, but don't count on it. Anyway, so Death Gems we get 10. Unrest we get 20. Not great, but I'll take it for the Death Gems, and the Magic 2. Could be worse. Looks like we have gotten another one of our heroes. So we have gotten Fuyu Kane, who is the legendary Bandit King. Now, this guy's interesting because he produces 1 Blood Slave a turn. He is Blood 2, which my other hero is only Blood 1. And Yomi is not really a Blood nation. They're a nation that wants to have Blood. And Blood 2 is very, very important because that opens up Bloodlust, which is going to give all my guys 4 strength. So just, I mean, having 1 Blood 2 mage follow my biggest Doom stack around and casting Bloodlust every fight, totally worth it. It makes Throw Flames a lot better. It does a lot of things. These guys... Where the hell are they? I probably have some here. Yeah, these little Kaoni become absolute beasts with Bloodlust on. I mean, this is going to be a 20 damage attack with very high attack and defense. Not bad. And then these guys, I mean, they're going to be hitting for 35 damage. That is a ton. So anyway. Unfortunately, I had 1 research point left in construction. I thought I had a bunch of other things I wanted to do last turn, and I thought I got it exactly, so I just finished construction research, giving me the very important construction 3, which is going to open up Legions of Steel. However, yeah, we didn't quite finish it. So we'll finish it this turn, and then I'm totally torn about what to do next for research. On one hand, Lanka kind of wants me to go for Alt 5 so I can do Mother Oak. We're getting to be where we have enough gems to cast it. On the other hand, to easily kill this Fomorian strat, which right now it's just this Pretender God, I expect as he has more gear for his other dudes, he will also be doing other of the Fomorian Kings. And... anyway, to deal with that efficiently, I'm going to need some Onishugo with Skelly Spam. So, I do want to go Enchantment 5. I want this really bad. It's also going to open up Fire Shield, which is important. And Twiceborn, which will be kind of nice if I have guys who have a decent chance of dying. And then, what else? I mean, the other thing with Twiceborn is I could potentially, like, if one of my Death 4 guys dies, they could potentially get Death 5, which is kind of a huge upgrade. And it's not a small chance, it's like a 20% chance or something from experience. Maybe 15, but it's definitely, I'm quite sure it's higher than 10% of getting an increase in Death Pass when you come back from Twiceborn. So, anything in air? Oh yeah, Cloud Trapeze, which is huge. So, and Cloud Trapeze is game-changing when I get it if I can empower somebody in air, which I probably can. Lanka and I have a pretty high air income, and getting 25 to empower is not that hard. But as soon as I have that, that's going to kind of change how the game plays. So I really want to go Enchantment. But then I also kind of need to go Conjuration because I'm getting a ton of Death Gems and I don't really have a way to spend it. Now, Lanka can spend it. He's told me he can spend it. So I'm less inclined to go Conjuration, though at the moment you can see I have it queued up. So, because if we go in Conjuration, we can drop Shikomi, but Lanka can spend it on Skull Mentors, which is probably how I want to spend my first Death Gems. Once I have my Research Economy, I probably want to put it all in Shikomi. But for now, probably want to spend it on research, because my research is shit. And there's a lot of stuff we need to do, but we have none of the research to do it. Now, I was going to go attack the Caveman province, but I can't do it because this guy... we didn't finish Construction 3, And one thing you will know if you've played this game a fair amount is sending a super combatant into cavemen, you need to be pretty damn confident you're going to take it. These guys hit like trucks. And especially after Iron Skin and stuff, I'm going to have really high protection, like in the 30s. But I'm just going to, and I would probably win. But, A, I could take afflictions. And B, I think there's still a non-zero chance that I lose. And I don't want to do that. But if I get this research with Legions of Steel, I think it's a 0% chance I lose. So we're going to site search here. It's a throne province. There's a good chance there's a site here. We're going to site search, and then we're going to go attack. Down here, Moria is just holding on to this little stuff to come back. Now, I won't lie. How Moria was playing, how quickly we took land, how little resistance he offered, I was thinking this was going to be a walk in the park and we were just going to 2v1 eat this guy who had the misfortune of spawning on the same planet as us, with no real way for anybody to help him. But considering he basically opened my eyes to a new super combatant build that I'd never seen before that is very, very effective, very hard I spent hours trying to counter this guy. Like, literal hours yesterday trying to figure out what do I do to kill this guy with the Dai Oni. It's hard. This guy, how he's set up here with summon Hal power and stuff, he butchers Dai Oni. I mean, he just eats him up. He doesn't even give a shit. I mean, he killed 50, all of these Palanchas, which are no wimps. They've got, 15, 16 damage, or 15, 16 attack swords that do 26 damage. Like, that's super combatant killing stuff. 26 damage is a lot of damage. That's more damage than these cavemen do, and you can see I'm like, well, I might not want to send it in. And it's only 20 of them. His guys have good... Cavemen are naked. They don't have any armor or anything. His guys have armor, they have shields, they have regeneration, and he just killed all of them without taking a single point, maybe took one hit the whole time. So anyway, very, very strong build, and I am not going to be very cocky. I have a very strong respect for this guy's build, and he's playing conservative, but I think he played conservative because let's take another quick look at what all he has researched. We know he did summon Hell Power, so that means he's Blood 4, which that's pretty high in blood for a non-blood nation. He's doing personal regeneration, which let's find out what that is. That's enchantment 2, right? And then we know he's at least construction 4 because a lot of these items are construction 4. So he's also got pretty solid research. And I think that's why he was playing so passive. But yeah, so he's got... this is a construction 4 item. This is, I think, construction 4. This is construction 4. This is construction 4. This is construction 4 too. This may be construction 2. I can't remember. This is construction 2. I can't remember. This is construction 4 too. I can't remember. But anyway, so he's got very good research. Now, the thing is, this will work almost as good on Fomorian Giants. Like his... Let's take a look at these guys. It's going to work, I think, as good on these guys. Their attack skill isn't this great, so he might have to change the items up. He'll put a Stone Bird on them, he'll do a Chainmail of Displacement. These guys also are air mages, so they can do Mist Form and Mirror Image, which is going to make them very, very difficult to hit. So he might be waiting on moving these guys out until he has higher Alteration, because we did not see Alteration spells come out. I mean, let's check, because this guy went off script, I think, because he didn't have... Okay, he has Bark Skin, Fire Shield... Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he went... I don't know if he went off script, but we can see he only has Bark Skin that we can tell for sure, which is pretty low. Now, for these giants to be useful in the same capacity, where are we? If he has Mist Form and Mirror Image up, that's going to go a long way. It's not going... The air stuff is not going to be that great against thugs. Mirror Image is still going to be good. But if he gets really high attack, like let's say he puts a Burning Pearl or one of the... There's a few items that increase your attack you can put in the miscellaneous slots. He can keep the Spear. Maybe he throws on a... This is a one-handed weapon, yeah. Maybe he throws on a Vine Shield. He does something that increases the attack. He puts maybe another Stone Bird on here. That will get his attack up to, let's say, 17. I think one of them's a 5 attack item. So, okay, that gets his attack up to 17. Then with the Bless, it's going to get up to 19. And then with Blood Surge going off, which presumably it will, that'll get him up to 22. So 22 attack on a length 4 weapon on a size 6 dude is, especially I think with Mirror Image up and a Vine Shield, is going to make this guy also almost unkillable. So I think he's got a big slew of these guys all camped out in his capital, and they're all just researching and making items. And as soon as he gets Alteration, he's going to just come storming out, and he's going to be able to retake one province a turn, and we're not going to be able to do anything. So we're being... I think part of kind of having some experience in this game is knowing when you're about to get your ass kicked. And normally, you have 2 guys ganging up on one guy, you would not have that little twitchy feeling like you're about to get your ass kicked. Both me and Zarya, who's my partner here, we've all got the tingle spider sense that shit is about to go really bad. Now, we have plans, and I don't know if this guy knows what our plans are. He's also very conservative, because he knows he's kind of walking on a wire. But part of him being conservative encourages us to be aggressive. And the more aggressive we are, the more easy it is for him to kind of spring a trap. Which we don't want. So anyway, what are we going to do? Well, this turn we're going to raid. I've got some mercs, so we're going to send them in to attack here. Unlikely he defends it. What we expected him to do last turn, and what he did not do, was to break open this fort. And so we moved all our guys off the fort. Well, we're expecting him to do it again this turn. And we're not going to defend it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm also worried this guy's going to come up here. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of spreading my guys out so I don't put all my eggs in a basket. I probably should put them up here. So anyway, this guy's going to move up here. These guys... We're moving out our little immortal ghost general, and he's coming up here. And then when he's up here, eventually we'll probably put most of the troops under his very wise leadership. You know what I probably could have done, and I didn't do? Is I could Spirit Curse this guy. Yeah. Yes. I definitely do want to curse him. Nothing worse than getting your Pretender God cursed. So, anyway, yeah, so these guys are coming here. These guys are actually raiding, and raiding is something I haven't talked about. I didn't talk about it in the national overview very much, but it's an important mechanic. Anybody can raid as a player, right? In that all you need is a barbarian. So you conquer a barbarian province, you can get barbarians, and you can raid. If you're stealthy, it's kind of nice. So these guys make better raiders because they're stealthy raiders. And I'm not totally sure how it works, but pretty sure that... I don't know if they're stealthy while they're raiding. I'm not sure. I actually need to test that. But I think they might be. But even if they're not, we're pretty low chance because they don't have anybody patrolling here. So it's basically a free raid for us. So yeah, we're going to go over here and raid. And I could have put more dudes on it, like more barbarians here. But I don't want to kill a ton of the population. My goal is not to destroy the economy, per se. My goal is to just get the unrest up, so that when my Dai Oni or whoever else fight here, we're going to be fighting with a lot of chaos power. And in addition, this is also going to make it more difficult for him to use this as a recruitment center. Ideally I get it over 100, and I probably should have done a few more. But anyway, this is what I did. I just did 25. So it's being a little conservative. I probably could have done it more. I don't know. Anyway, that was what I did do. We're raiding here. Other guys are moving up here. Where's my big... Okay, yeah. Most of my guys are moving up there. In terms of forging, we're making a dwarven hammer. We're making bracers. Over here, we're making another dwarven hammer. And both of these we're doing with dwarven hammers, so they're efficient dwarven hammers. And then... Anyway, we'll send some of those over to Lanka, most likely. Here, we're researching. Here, we are taking a break from researching, and we're making a lion pelt, which is going to be very good, especially once I have Legions of Steel. What's special about the lion pelt is that it offers reasonably high protection for the head and the body, 15 for both, and it's very low encumbrance. And those combined are very, very good traits. So ideally, if I had an Earth Nature Mage, I would make them all the time, but I don't. I just have this guy. So I don't... It tells you how much I want that item, that I'm willing to waste my Pretender and 41 research on it. But I specifically kind of wanted for the guy that's going to go kill his Pretender God, so I'm not going to spam him out at this point because I don't have an Earth Nature caster, though hopefully I can eventually get one from up here. The other thing is my Dai Tengu, I believe, can do it. So when I get around to summoning them, we'll be okay. Okay, so I think that's about it. Down here, Palisades working. Coming up next turn, we're building a temple. Here, we're doing a ton of site searching all over the place. I've got Dai Oni everywhere site searching. You can see we're kind of cranking through our site searching. Palisades are coming up here, I think, this coming turn. So yeah, that's basically how this is playing out. Beware of the Fomorian Pretender God. Anyway, it turns out it was a really long episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.